Sunday, everyone needs to see if you something about Bill. Have you got a recipe for Sunday for our viewers?
I do. I have a recipe a day. I'm not going to let you down. Today's recipe I made last night an hachis parmentier, which is very crudely put. People tend to translate this as either a French cottage pie or a French shepherd's pie, but it's actually, I think it's quite different to both of those. In the fact that you don't have any sort of tinned tomatoes, anything like that fired into your sauce. You're not making a ragout of any description. It is just a minced meat sauce with red wine and some herbs and a bit of garlic. And then the other major difference that I think occurs with an hachis parmentier is you have a base layer of potato before your meat goes on top, and then another layer of mashed potato on top of that before you put it in the oven to cook. So the hachis parmentier I serve with some lovely tomatoes, and I think it's a hearty dish, maybe not for this time of year, but it's definitely a staple around all around France in the sort of peasant cooking, different variations in every single region. This one I thought you could enjoy with a nice hearty glass of red Chinon. You can get white reds and rosés from Chinon, of course, and you can get so many wonderful wines. We've seen the vineyards start to spring up along the route, along with all of the fields of sunflowers, and some of the wines through here. I think the best wine I've ever had from the Loire is a wine called Rui. It's not a wine that is actually that affordable for the likes of us. I was very fortunate someone else had bought the bottle when I tried it, but it was spectacular.
All the best wines are the ones that stop as paper. Definitely. I've had some of them when I was down in Italy a lot over the years, and someone bought some beautiful wines around dinner, and that's what, those are the best types of wines. Definitely. You're just getting a glimpse there of the Uno X Mobility Ricky Noah bars, which they're on the front of the peloton. I love that recipe. I love the layer of potato at the front. I'm sure many people will want to try that one. That's definitely one we need to save for the winter as well, for a really nice, like, cold winter's evening. Try and make that one.
It's proper comfort food, but equally good sustenance if you're going to go out on the bike. But you can find it on Instagram at JHB Foodie Cyclist, along with all of the other recipes, and hopefully people can just put a bookmark next to it and then cook it into the autumn and winter months.
Brilliant, thank you, Jono. I like that one. So give Jono a follow, test out the recipes as well. And do people tag you in them and let you know when they've made them as well?
Sometimes it's a smorgasbord. Some people do, some people don't. Some people say that they love the recipe, other people don't. Some people decide to. I mean, social media, people are positive, people are negative. I mean, thankfully, I've always found Instagram a bit more of a positive platform than some of the others out there. There have been people who definitely have tried to cook along, whether they will be giving this one a bit of a wide berth due to the fact that it's 30 degrees outside. I wouldn't blame them.
No, I like you. I'm with you. Instagram's there. Everyone, I mean, isn't Instagram just for taking pictures of your food anyway, and sharing pictures of your cat and fluffy stuff anyway? That's what we've always felt with that. That's basically what it's there for. We're over 30 degrees now. Matthew Vanderpool's got an ice pop just putting into his pocket. We've talked a lot about cooling in this race, and these are the sort of days as well we'll start to get over 30 degrees. And my brother Anthony's at the finish. He's the host commentator, and he just said it's absolutely roasted at the finish today. So Matthew Vanderpool just grabbing the ice pop. So good to see that they're getting the cooling again. Zimmerman knows really struggling here, and understandably.
With the last time we saw a time check for Zimmerman,
today? Is it more about survival and doing what you can for Danny today?
We try and see. Yesterday we had the plan that I would sprint and we could adjust it during the day. Today is a little bit the same approach. Maybe the legs feel better. Also the finish is easier than yesterday, so we might give it a try, but all depends on my feeling during the day.
It is an interesting one, isn't it? In cycling, you can feel bad in bed and in the morning, and then sometimes you get the magic legs. Just explain that. It is strange, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the thing of not really having the legs is also that you cannot really hurt your body a lot. So yeah, let's hope I could save a little bit of energy because I didn't feel good, and today is the day that things change, and I do have the power in the legs, but we have to wait and see during the race.
Thank you. Good luck today.
Thank you.
Good to hear from Yoni Mayers, and as we keep. So hopefully, Gail Zimmerman just ride through as well. He's lost an awful lot of skin. That's Gail Zimmerman in that crash. If you are just joining us, welcome aboard. 88 kilometers to go. The gap from our breakaway duo to the peloton is 4 minutes and 56 seconds. Mathieu van der Poel and Jonas Rijkaard attacking just outside of kilometer zero, not long after kilometer zero, going on the attack. Everything we were looking for. Sprint day today, and a fairly sedate one at that. But Mathieu van der Poel has decided to set the cat amongst the pigeons, as they say. He went into the day in fifth at 1 minute and 29 seconds. So he is the virtual leader on the road as the camera's panned up to the front. Just as Brian predicted, Pascal Hinkle, it looks like, is now on the front for Soudal Quickstep. So they've now got into the mix behind, and you can see it's making a difference to the gap.
Nå det medlemskap hos Coop. Du får 30% rabatt på all kjeks fra Sætre. Og stor avokado til bare 14,90 per stykk. Medlemskuppene gjelder i alle Coops dagligvarebutikker. Coop, gitt dit. På den ene siden det lett å la seg friste av nye nettbutikker. På den andre siden 7 av 10 nye nettsider falske. Derfor har vi sikkerhetsfiltre i våre nett som blokkerer falske nettsider. For vi skal være ditt og hele Norges sikkerhetsnett.
Hvorfor synes folk det så vanskelig å spise sunt? Når det egentlig så lett.
Stagger makrell, Norges enkleste fiskemåltid.
Barbecue.
Guapo. Hey, guapo. ¿Qué estás soñando?
Min egen barbecue-burger. Barbecue.
Guapo. Hey, guapo. ¿Qué estás soñando?
Min egen barbecue-burger. Forestill deg en bank, hvor valutakursene opptil 2 ganger rimeligere enn hos tradisjonelle banker. Som gjør kaos til komfort, med tilgang til flyplasslounger, med bare et trykk. Og som bytter ut overraskende kostnader med øyeblikkelig og global reis som aldri før. Reis med Revolut.
ናይ ጻዕዳ ናይ ኪሮስ ዘለኻ it's like ወሩ ለቋሎ ወራኔለ ያዓቲ like awani like
What is it?
It's a credit card.
like subscribe subscribe
What?
subscribe go ga hawle be
It's a credit card.
بزترف
Remember,
مقعد
it's
اللي
a credit
بينعونا
card.
نروح سنبت الورم
Har du enda ikke prøvd Grandiosa pepperoni? Norges mest spiste pepperoni-pizza.
Stage 9 of the Tour de France, 174.1 kilometers today from Chinon to Châteauroux, and we are being treated to a beautiful ride through the French countryside today as we meander our way across France down towards the Massif Central, where we have our first mountain stage tomorrow, and then Jono, we have another chance for the sprinters in Toulouse as well.
That's right. Although again, Thierry Gounod, well, it sounds so almost begrudgingly given stages to the sprinters on this year's tour, which it's an interesting one. I know. That there has been a lot of conversation about having two sprint stages on the weekend when people are tuning in, but I don't know. Yesterday, for example, I didn't find it a boring stage. I thought there was loads there. Perhaps there weren't many attacks going on, and it took the Vescher and who was he with? Berger, for the two of them to attack. But it didn't mean to say that there weren't things to talk about. And it's honestly, it was also, they weren't going slowly. It wasn't as though they were sitting up and nothing was going on. They were keeping a really good tempo. Today, the same. The tempo's been quick. The tour is rattling through towards the east as we head towards Massif Central. And I think when you look at the brutality of some of the mountain stages, it's understandable that riders are going to have to just take it a little easier on certain stages. It's 3,500 kilometers in just over 3 weeks. I don't think people ever stop and give it the credit it should. We went through where we Sidan-Chavanel, his hometown of Châteauroux earlier, and I just wanted to ask really, can anyone really understand what it will have been like to start 18 Tour de France in a row and to have competed in 18 Tour de France in a row? I don't think mere mortals can.
I mean, Sylvain was, in his career was a bit of a legend, wasn't he? And starting those, and he was always a really, really, really interesting rider to watch, and longevity in their career. But also, again, go back to what Thierry Gounod said earlier on. You've got to have these days. You can't expect Tadej Pogacar and Jonas Vingegaard to you can't have 3 weeks of mountain stages. And the Tour de France was always used to have, it was quite formulaic back in the day. You had a prologue time trial, you had a week of sprint stages, then you got to the Pyrenees and you had 3 days in the Pyrenees. Then you had some transition days where the breakaways might get away, and you'd get a breakaway, take a stage. Then you get into the Alps, and you'd have 5 stages?
João Almeida is the bender this Tour de France. Beh, to the commentators.
Thanks, Jens, for the update. It's such a shame, and it did look out as well. We saw him get back in, but it's not just the crash. It's not just the hit of the crash. Broken ribs, and it's trying to battle through. And I know we have this kind of warrior thing in cycling that we've always, we always talk about. We see Georg Zimmermann battling to try and get back into the peloton with such a large number.
Jeg skal nevne navn på rytteren som siterte på hvis du skjønner det. Det venter de bare på. Så det betyr selvfølgelig mye. Men apropos 10 per kilometer, altså hvis Ringegård tar en hull på
abandons the race, that is going to be a big loss here. Big loss there for the team. I mean, he's such a strong rider. We know that. He's absolutely been up there on numerous stages in the past Tour de France as well. And
horrible crash is testament to his courage, but with tomorrow looming on the horizon, and also just the knowledge of if it's not going to heal and I'm going to feel this uncomfortable, I'm not going to be of any service.
I suppose it's not just now, it's longevity of career and it's health and life beyond their career as well. You have to think of all these things with a rider as well, that it is not just being able to get through today to be able to do a job tomorrow. It's being able to, and as you said, if he sat twisted on his bike, you can then if he starts to sit squint in the saddle because he's really uncomfortable, then you start to knock your back out, then you start to knock your hips out and everything that goes along with it. But respect to him for continuing for a couple of days. And we'll miss him in this race as well, isn't he? He's such a superstar as well, an exciting rider, and they've lost a really strong rider here from the team as we just see Niels Pollitt going back to the car.
Am I right thinking, did he finish 4th last year, Joe Almeida?
Yes, I think you are right. Yes, he did finish 4th in last year's race.
So he undoubtedly would have been thinking about this year the potential that stick with Pogacar, protect Pogacar in the mountains. We could have been looking at a podium finish perhaps on the Tour de France, but he was in peak fitness coming into the event. It hasn't been, and it was such an unfortunate incident, puncturing on that rather innocuous descent after Mur de Bretagne, and it's been quite a high cost because Jack Haig was taken down, wasn't allowed to continue due to concussion. Then we've now got Joe Almeida who's out, so the only person who remains from that crash who was seriously involved. But we also lost Eddie Dunbar, didn't we, from the same crash? So that's 3 riders who, from what should have been a relatively comfortable bit of riding for them on this tour, it just goes to show there is not 1 second you can switch off on the Tour de France.
Yeah, let's hear from UAE.
As well, he's dropped and he will stop, so he will retire from the race.
And that would be the radio communication that the team the riders in the team wouldn't want to hear on the race radio in their ears. And Niels just dropping back to the car. He's gone into one of the other vehicles, the support vehicles for the race. One there. The 26-year-old Portuguese rider, he would have, as Jono said, finished 4th in this race last year and came into the Tour de France after taking those 3 stages and the general classification in the Tour de Suisse. He won the Tour de Romandie overall. He won 2 stages, general classifications and points in Itzulia Basque Country, stage victory this year in Paris-Nice. So he's been having a phenomenal season as João Almeida, and perhaps he would have definitely been the backup for UAE Team Emirates. They're going to hope that they're not going to need that, but we're going to miss the man from Portugal in the race. We wish him well in his recovery. We're back up to our breakaway. 76.6 to go. Mathieu van der Poel, Jonas Reichert. the duo here. You can see the...
Telefonen kan forstyrre instrumentene i bilen! Skjerp deg! Telefonen kan forstyrre instrumentene i bilen! Skjerp deg! Få vekk de mobilene nå!
Det er vanskelig å få dem bort fra skjermen. Prøv eller Ice Junior, et gratis abonnement for barn med kun 1 gigabyte data.
Surprise! Vi feirer 10 år, og nå får du 60 gigabyte til 299 kroner i måneden. Det er mye data for pengene, det. Jubileumstilbudet finner du på ice.no.
Kjenner du deg igjen? Ta det rolig, det er helt normalt. Det unormale er vårt produktsortiment, for vi har alltid et 100-talls nyheter i tillegg til vårt faste sortiment. Normale varer og massevis av nyheter.
Tusen takk for at du ble med hit til legen. Jeg er litt rolig for den føflekken også. Slapp av, Kjell. Det er sikkert ikke noe farlig. Kjell i saksen. Halve måned. Ja. Hei, vet du, hva var det han sa om føflekken da? Det var visst bare brun saus. Har du spist kjøttkaker nå igjen, eller? Koteletter.
Big one. More of the good stuff. Prøv ny og bedre Big One Classic.
Ja, det skulle være litt keeper også, husker jeg.
Ja, stemmer. Det var ikke så gøy å springe, egentlig.
Ja. Det er jo ikke jeg heller, egentlig.
Nei, kanskje var glad i alt.
Jeg tror du gjorde et godt valg, men jeg husker du var keeper. Jeg husker du så deg i mål.
Ja, stemmer.
As today's football icons, what would you do if you could time travel?
Life is a story we get to embrace every day.
Stage 9 of the Tour de France, from Chinon to Châteauroux. On paper, it looked like a day for the sprinters, but Mathieu van der Poel and Jonas Rijkaard have decided differently. There was a lot of talk as well about these very wide open route that we have today across the fields. The wind that was as well going to play a factor today. The gap 4:35. And Georg Zimmermann has made it back into the peloton. He went down in that crash, and you can see the pressure of the chase of Mathieu van der Poel and Jonas Rijkaard is really putting the German champion into difficulty at the back. As you can see, the teammates of Mathieu van der Poel, there's Wout van Aert in the yellow and black, wearing 17th, second on yesterday's stage. Shackman, Simmons, and the team of Lidl Trek swapping off at the front. They know that they've got an opportunity here. Shackman drops right back through the group. We just saw a glimpse there of Wout van Aert, Jonathan Milan coming through with his teammates here. They know they've got some open sections. Are they going to try and disintegrate this one now? We see Lidl Trek, and we're seeing the splinters, and we're starting to see now the formation of some echelons. Lidl Trek perhaps now decide that this one they're going to try and split this peloton, and we're into two echelons here, Jono.
Already into two echelons, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a third one form. And Wout van Aert was the riders who just got distance. He's battling very, very hard to catch back on. I mean, you have to feel horribly sad for Georg Zimmermann. It worked so hard to find his way back, but you could just see when we had that close-up of him, all of those temporary dressings coming apart.
Yeah. We'll show you the picnic post and L bike. It's the Lapierre Zelius, but one rider who's in this second echelon is Oscar Onley. We just saw the full picnic post and L team trying to come back. Wout van Aert was kind of chilling down the back of the bunch, and you can see how hard Wout van Aert's having to work here to try and get across and onto the wheel of Julian Alaphilippe, and you know that the pressure's on when this man is having to work this hard to try and get back in. But there will be alarm bells ringing in the picnic post and L car behind, because their GC rider Oscar Onley has been distanced, but Lidl Trek, he loses Jasper Stuyven out of their chase, but the gap you can see already is being chopped out of quite quickly. We get the helicopter just pans up here. It's going to follow Wout van Aert onto the back of the bunch. That was a big move there from Lidl Trek.
Yeah, huge move from them, and it was Jonathan Milan's presence that really alerted you there, Marty. Called it absolutely spot on, that was when they were really putting the hammer down, and they've eaten a huge amount of time into the leads up the road. However, is it starting to settle again with the trees on the side just cutting that wind out a little?
Yeah, this is kind of what Brian and I were sort of alluding to and chatting about a lot today. There's a lot of very exposed sections, but quite quickly there's these little pockets of woods, there's agricultural buildings, there's little small villages that just sort of break up that opportunity for a really, really sustained hit out in the crosswinds. But it does show what sort of damage that you can do here. Picnic Post and Eldo are under pressure. 4:21, so you can see the gap, the time that they've lost. Oscar Onley's team are going to have to work hard here to get the Scotsman back in, and see if the pressure on the front of the peloton, it does look like the pressure's gone back out. So Picnic Postanel along with that group. We saw Mauro Schmidt from Jayco Alula. He'd mistimed his move back to the team car to grab some bottles. Remco Evenepoel, Max Schachmann now moving through. They want to make sure that they don't miss anything. Victor Campenart straight down through the centre. Black and yellow colours, yellow helmet, sunglasses on for Campenart. You usually know he means business when he's got some sunglasses on, Victor Campenart.
It's the Chateau Azay-le-Ferron. Chateau owned by a number of people, including Grégoire Michel, who was a banker of the Napoleon's armies. And Monsieur Luzarche was another man who owned it. So it was one of the prominent families in France, maintained a fine hunting team whose motto was to the end. One day, whilst hunting wolves, the Azay team caught a she-wolf that had just given birth to cubs. One of them tamed, christened Cacao, and took part in the hunt with a pack of hounds at the age of 12, became blind and drowned in one of the park's ponds, and was stuffed as a souvenir. So a bit of taxidermy on display there at Azay-le-Ferron Chateau.
And here's been here up in the team car, just alongside Mathieu van der Poel and Jonas Rijkaard. A really talented sprinter. Jan Meersman commentated on quite a few of his wins over the years. Some great sprints down in Volta Catalunya, races like that. Have a look back here at the back of the peloton as the Picnic Postanel team try to get themselves back into the mix here. There's Oscar Onley and his teammates. Hearing alarm bells ringing for them. Right there. Sylvain Dillier going through. There's Luke Platt. See Luke Platt quite a lot. Just hanging out down the back. Yonin Tagire here on the back for Cofidis. It does look like they're going to make it back in here, Jono, but perhaps the chase that Picnic Postanel weren't expecting or wanting today.
Definitely not. Interesting to see, though, that the time out in the front, which was suddenly decimated down to around 3 minutes 21, stretch back out to 4.
As indeed, and there's your average speed on the screen. It's 48.8 kilometers an hour at the moment. So blisteringly hot day under the sun, and the same with the pace just nudging on just a touch under 50k an hour. We go on to some more exposed fields here. As we said, that some of the sections are quite short in terms of where you can split things, but there'll be certain riders now that will make sure that they're as far up the peloton, and that's why as well, Jono, that we were talking about Tadej Pogacar and why he's sitting so close to the front, as is Jonas Vingegaard. This is why, because we know that if someone like a Lidl Trek wants to split it, they will.
Yeah, that's the caution, and they would have been listening, preparing for these conditions, and we did expect this sort of test on today's stage, but sort of head down towards Châteauroux from around 50 kilometres, and at that point, I would imagine, would that mean that the slight crosswinds will become a tailwind?
Down towards Châteauroux, we've got fairly sort of cross-windy set. We've got a tailwind through this section here, and then we swing that right turn around 36, just a touch under 37 kilometers to go on today's stage. So after that, so we go through, we've got the crosswind section with 34 to go, and there's a couple of shortish sections as well. And then even as we get in towards that final right and head in towards Châteauroux, there's a short crosswind section there that I was looking at, which was around 16 kilometers to go, quite open. There's a bit of a bank of trees on one side as well on that section. So there was a little touch there, wasn't there, from Lidl Trek, just to see what damage they could do. So it's going to be interesting to see with that first little acceleration whether they're going to keep an eye on it and just try again. So the wind direction, the wind speed today, I mean, in excess of 20 kilometers an hour, the wind. It's now just touching around 18, 17, touch under 18 kilometers an hour to just over 18 kilometers an hour, the crosswind. So definitely conducive to splitting it if we can, but as we've said, it's a little, some of the sections are just a touch too short to really sustain that. From the tailwind sections as well here, Johnny, you can see that we are pushing it out over 50k an hour.
Yeah, it is. Lidl back up to the front and sitting alongside. A little bit of assistance that they've had so far from Uno X.
It looks like it's evaporated a little bit, doesn't it? The assistance. We heard from Quinn Simmons earlier just saying, I'm trying his mouth, not really getting anywhere. Oh, you just have to feel for Gail Zimmerman today, don't you? Oh, what are we doing? And again, you just road furniture in that sort of situation as well. That was a sketchy moment there for the motorbike. It just shows us how heightened your senses have got to be in driving and riding behind in the convoy behind. It's just that Movistar car there. It didn't see the central reservation until the last minute there.
And that has been a big point of discussion, just with all of the added road furniture that has been brought in to slow cars down. There is so much more now on the tour, and it added road furniture, added tension, and then on top of the added tension, more errors made by other people. It is becoming harder and harder.
It is, because all these traffic calming measures that we have, they didn't exist before, did they? Through the towns and villages, and it is you can see it. It would be the amount of marshals that you would need to stand on every single one of these traffic islands with a bit of road furniture. So the riders are really as well relying on each other and gesturing to each other as well, hoping the signs ahead. Our breakaway group sitting with that gap still at 3:46.
Ich würde sagen, einzigartig. Ich bin Alaya Pilgrim, Profifußballerin und ich bin Fan von Zürich. Zürich gefällt mir so gut, weil es einfach alles hat in dieser Stadt. Es hat einen schönen See, es hat eine Lederstrasse, es hat Museen, es hat wirklich so viel rundherum. Es ist so divers und es hat einfach alles. Dass die UEFA Women's Euro 25 in der Schweiz stattfindet, finde ich natürlich extrem schön. Natürlich ist es umso schöner, von der Familie und Freunden zu spielen. Und wir freuen uns natürlich alle auf das grosse Ereignis.
Got a bike? Then it's ready to Zwift. Just grab a Zwift Ready trainer with Zwift Cog. It's ready for everyone, even this guy. Zwift Ready trainers with Zwift Cog, ready to ride and ready to Zwift.
Carving through twisters, nailing the perfect landing, leaning into every corner. There's no feeling like it. Dunlop tyres deliver outstanding grip protection, more freedom, more adventure, more exhilaration. Just right.
I had this stage in mind from the beginning. Winning on the Galibier was my ultimate dream. My plan was to attack very early. My teammates thought it was crazy, but I was convinced. It was just like fight to the top and give everything I have. And when I crossed the line, it felt very special.
Szkoda.
We're seeing multiple teams now on the front starting to assist in the chase of our breakaway. Stage 9 of the Tour de France, Chinon to Châteauroux, 174.1 kilometers today. Mathieu van der Poel, along with his teammate Jonas Rijkaard, going on the attack here. And we're now seeing the team of Jaco Alula and Israel Premier Tech up towards the front. Ineos Grenadiers also starting to just get in on the action. It is 31.2 degrees out there on the course, so it's a blisteringly hot day for the riders. The racing has been just as hot today. Mathieu van der Poel and Jonas Rijkaard here. Mathieu van der Poel on the front with the rainbow cuffs on his jersey. Still the virtual leader of the race on the road. He started the day 1 minute and 29 seconds down in 5th place on GC, and his teammate Jonas Rijkaard no threat at all in the general classification is Jonas Rijkaard, but they've been on the attack pretty much from the flag drop today. Jonas Rijkaard sits 120th overall, 53 minutes and 38 seconds down. Has been interesting in the last kilometres or so, John, that we've now got Israel Premier Tech and Jacob Alula taking over from Lidl Trek. It does look like the Lidl team have kind of called everyone's bluff a little bit.
It does look that way at present. So, well, it's going to be a really, really interesting conclusion to today's stage. It is chapeau, without a doubt, to Ruch and Van der Poel in what they have set up. But, well, it's going to be great viewing the next 58 kilometres.
It certainly is. Will it be a bunch of sprints? It certainly looks like they're starting to get a handle on the gap to Mathieu Van der Poel. The question is, knowing what Van der Poel is like, do we feel that he's gonna just hit it again to try and take this one to the finish? As Jacob Alula are on the front, we'll give you a little idea of what they're on. They're on the Giant Propel. They're all another Shimano team. So Shimano Durace components, Shimano Power Meters. They're on Cadex wheels and tyres and Cadex saddles as well, on the team of Jacob Alula. I'm a big fan of the purple and grey this year for Jacob Alula. It's one of my favourite kits. Don't know what you think.
Definitely a standout one. Quite like it. I know a lot of people love the Bora kit. I'm not a fan of the Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe kit myself this year. I think it looks a little bit like Homelander's cape from The Boys, if anyone's seen that.
Okay, right, we're going to let Jono head off. Jono will be back, of course, for the podiums. But we'll see you tomorrow as well, Jono.
Cheers. See you later.
We will welcome Brian Smith back to the commentary box. The gap from Mathieu Van der Poel and Jonas Rijkaard is 3:14. Georg Zimmermann, the German champion, who's gone down heavily in a crash today. Really are just feeling for the German champ from Intermarché Wanty today. He's in a world of pain and suffering is the understatement of the century. So hopefully he manages to ride through to the finish. He is battling on in this one. Welcome back, Brian. What's your thoughts now on the dynamic of this one? We're getting Alpecin to Koenig up towards the front, maybe to just run a little bit of polite interference for their duo ahead, or more to set up Gaten Groves?
Well, of course, but more importantly, I think Lidl Trek have been a little lucky here. I don't think that was the right thing to do, what they did before. I think they get carried away in the moment, and they pretty much killed the guys that were already riding at the front. Okay, they weren't bringing the gap back, but they were still doing a job. You never know what other teams are going to do, but I think they killed some of their own team, because as soon as they started riding on the front, Squinch, Stuyven, things like that, they were all kind of dropping towards the back. So I really don't think that was the best thing for Lidl Trek to do back then, and when that kind of crosswind section happened. And they've been very lucky now that 2, 3, 4 teams have started to ride now, but they were never going to know that. The pressure on Lidl Trek throughout the whole of the day has been seen. Everybody wants to kind of lean on them, but I think they've realised that they killed the team that were on the front, the guys that were on the front. The gap wasn't coming down, so it's a case of, and I don't know if any of them are listening, that old saying, you need to be in it to win it. That old, you cannot just afford to kind of sit back and allow Lidl Trek, because I'm going to put it out here, Lidl Trek were not bringing the duo in front back. They weren't doing it, right? So they're trying to find some friends, as Quinn Simmons said. They're finding it difficult to find these friends. But there are sports directors in there that have said, well, this is a sprint stage. We've got a sprinter. We want them to be able to sprint at the end, right? Even if they haven't shown. And you look at the guys at the front, Dylan Groenewegen has not shown anything in this race so far. Nothing. But he only needs one chance. That's it. and this is a chance. It's something that I always used to, and we talked about it earlier on. If your sprinter is said that they're good, even if they're not good, you pressurise them into sprinting, because until you come up to the front and help out the chase, okay, ultimately you're helping Jonathan Milan and Tim Merlier, but you're not helping your own sprinter as well. So the two favourites for today, definitely Jonathan Milan and Tim Merlier. The other teams, so why are they riding? The reason why they're riding is to make sure that their sprinter gets to sprint for first place instead of third place. And it's as simple as that.
Yeah, completely agree. They did. You could just see that as soon as they hit the front, that their team was sort of decimated behind. And
so why did they do it?
Yeah, exactly. It was that. I think again, it was that everyone's been talking about these crosswinds today, and it just, as we've said throughout the day, they're not long enough.
I think it was the riders that decided to do that more than the sports directors. I think it's a wrong decision from Lido Trek to do that. You can look at this.
Danmark og velkommen til starten af en etape af Tour de France. En etape, hvor en legende, en sprinterlegende, den mest vindende rytter i Tour de France historie, Mark Cavendish, som vandt sin 36. etapesejr sidste år. Derfor, så hedder...
Yeah, and it is helped